Hello, everyone.
This is the
John Dewey High School
podcast.
You are listening
to a special episode on social emotional learning.
These
are the voices of Dewey.
The voices of Dewey.
Hey everybody, this is your host, Gabriel, and welcome to the Dewey On Air podcast. I'm with my co-host,
Mo,
and our guest,
Robert Butler.
And today's topic is going to be about SEL. And would you like to start us off, Mo?
I would, sure. I don't know really much about it, but we have Mr. Butler over here to explain it to us and just let us know what is it like? What is it basically? What is SEL?
Sure. So just for context, we recorded this conversation maybe twice before. For whatever reason, the audio got kind of messed up. But we had some really good discussions around this, Gabriel, Rati, and I. And I'm happy to have you back for this one.
Yeah, I wasn't here for it.
I know. Where were you?
I was in Pennsylvania for the past, 4 days.
Okay.
Yeah. I just came back yesterday.
All right. So SEL stands for social and emotional learning. And I think we as educators, from my perspective, we try to quantify certain things and we try to measure them, and we like to set standards to show that students are growing and developing in some way. So there's 4 or 5 competencies that are based around social emotional learning. That's self-awareness, so that's understanding yourself, your identity. There's self-management and regulating your impulses, so maybe doing things without thinking beforehand. Social awareness, which is your awareness of the world around you, the different kinds of people, and appreciating different perspectives. And then it's relationship management, which is, the work in relating the ideas and feelings between you and another person, and then responsible decision making. Even though those are the competencies, really it's just about looking at a student for who they are holistically, giving them opportunities to grow and develop, to learn about themselves and through whatever means that is, and eventually that ends up showing in their academic work. The more you grow from within, the greater the experiences are that you're going to have, the better quality of life you'll probably live.
I mean, honestly, I feel like, as you explained before, I feel like it's like being able to know the student, not just a part of them, but as a whole, like you said before. And it really helps them not underestimate themselves or the things they can achieve in life, It helps them know their potential, know what weakens them, and being able to, instead of keep that weakness, either help them go around that or improve on that so they can be stronger and better as a person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. To add on to what he said, so I actually, this is more of a question than me commenting. Is this if we have it in our school, right?
Absolutely.
SEL?
We have it through a lot of the services and the programs that we have.
So it's a program, not a class.
There's classes, there's, a social worker, a guidance counselor, all the clubs really can be considered social emotional learning because it's giving you opportunities. This could be considered SEL.
Yeah. So based off of what I heard both of you say, like I said before, I wasn't here for on Monday, but I could tell that most of the students in this school, they really need it sometimes. Because you see, when I first came here, I was relying on those the 90s movies that I'm about to get my book slapped on my hand or something by a senior. I would come here awkward. I didn't know anybody. He could tell you that because I walked past him 15 times, and I only known him by one of my friends from 8th grade. And that was the only friend that I had in 8th grade, and he came over here. I was slowly not trying to get contact with people or anything like that. But when I first started going to this podcast in the beginning of this year, I started getting to know people more. As of right now, if you walk out with me, maybe to the hallway, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you see me dabbed up like 15, 16 people at least.
So let me ask you: have you learned more about yourself through doing podcasting? You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Most definitely. I would say I got like more confidence from this. Because
Okay.
before you would not catch me talking to a stranger like this. Like if
Yeah.
if you caught me like this in the beginning of this year and it was like my first time doing it, I'll be just sitting here like this. I'm not gonna talk.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta start asking me questions. I'm just gonna look at you like this.
Have you learned to regulate and manage yourself better through doing these kinds of programs?
Like I would say other people would have by now, but
Okay.
I'm just like I'm a slow learner, so it's kind of like
Okay.
not really.
You say you're a slow learner. You
Yeah.
you may not be. That might be a self-limiting belief that you have about yourself.
That's probably it. Yeah.
Regardless, the fact that you're kind of assessing yourself.
I mean, honestly, I do agree as well. Like learning from last year to this year, like it really helps you improve how you are as a person. Like even before like high school and stuff, I would always be like talkative and stuff, and want to get to know people as well. So like really, even though like I've had my own advice from like being in middle school, it's still nice to have new advice as well, because for someone who has an open mind when it comes to getting advice, I keep it with me until like I reach adulthood and keep on moving on from that.
Yeah, and there were some amazing things you and I spoke about. You should always seek out growth. Like, having a growth mindset, evolving from every year of experience. You should always be able to reflect and look back at the year prior and say, okay, I've learned and I've actually changed. I'm not
Yeah.
stagnant. So I think that that's important that you're coming with that insight.
Of course. I mean, there is this one video I saw. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but basically, like time is a flat circle.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we've done, we're going to keep on doing over and over again. It's part of our nature to like keep on repeating the same stuff. And being
Absolutely.
able to grow from that repetition of like that circle, it really helps you like shine and better understand like yourself as a person as well.
Mm-hmm. There was something we spoke about last time when I think we were speaking about you do
Childhood.
to de-stress. Yeah, you want to just explain a little bit about that? I think there were some important points.
Revisiting like certain hobbies you used to do, like especially when you were like younger, like building blocks. But like to me, I see it as like something that's part of my childhood that I've always like experienced.
I think something we spoke about that I thought was really, really important. The idea that when you're a child, when you're young, and holding on to that piece of yourself where you feel like you're a conscious creator, that is one of the most important pieces to continue for the rest of your life.
To continue on is you're right. Like inner child is basically a part of us. It really helps us understand the aspects of what we used to do and bring them to a bigger and better light. Like for example, like back then you used to build build or like do like small things, and then like over time you gone to bigger things, and
Well, you start to find yourself fitting more into society, into a structure, right?
of course.
And you maybe at some point you start to limit yourself on believing what you can and can't do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's self-limiting belief. You could always work within those confines. Every single thing you see in this world, in this like city, even like when you go to Manhattan and you see all those skyscrapers and the structure of the city and the way everything was designed, you have to remember that started in the imagination before it actually came to be.
It really
did.
did.
Like
Yeah,
this
it
whole
really did.
world came. So it's a very sacred, it's a sacred thing within each of us is our imagination, our creativity, our joy. I think it's really important that we try to nurture that, and we are, reminded that is one of, if not the most powerful forces within us.
It really is, especially when, as you grow up as well, like once you grow up to be an adult and then you actually have your own like family as well, like knowing you still have that inner child could really help your own children actually grow as people as well. You help them bring that light you used to have and could help them bring it to like a better aspect.
Absolutely.
It's like what my dad tells me, like he tells me that like I was here to not just to like exist, just be here, but also to be better than him. He wants me to be better than than what he could have done,
Right.
Even his own dream, or like the thing he wanted to follow was like, a technician, like he always wanted to be that as a kid, but he couldn't, because he because all the things from like his own life, and it's like
Right.
we're all here not to just exist and just have no purpose, but to be better than what our parents have done, because they want
Absolutely.
to see us succeed. Instead of them being able to have the chance, they want to give us that chance to us, and help us. They'll give us the blocks that we need to keep on building the structure that we will end up making in our adult lives.
Absolutely. And if you think about that, that's also how we evolve as a human species.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. And I think we should want the youth, to grow to be better than us and grow to be in a better system than us. And
Yeah.
a more fair, more equitable system. And
It's like I don't remember. There was like another video I saw, and it's basically talking about like how they would give up like themselves, like not existing, just so their parents could have the dream they deserved. It's like it's kind of like heart touching in a sense, because like they gave up their chance to become what they wanted to be, to give us a better chance to be better than what they could have done.
Yep.
And it's like, you may not be like where you wanted to be, but you still have the blocks that your parents gave you to be in an area where it's better than not being nowhere, if that makes sense.
No, it makes complete sense. I think what I'm hear you saying is work with what the cards were dealt with.
Yeah.
Work with what we have, and our goal is to make it better for the people of the future, right?
Yeah, of course. Like, as I say in my mind as well, like, we, like, as people, we never know what we're going through, always behind that closed curtain, you don't know, like, what's going on, And
Yep.
I'm not saying this, like, just in, like, in general, but for everybody as well. Like, you, record man.
Yeah.
And
Rati.
everybody, like, in life, like, like, just know that, like, we've all made mistakes, but we still strive to become a better person, because at the end of the day, we all are gonna, like, have our time where we have our final seconds of, like, life, and also as, like, to see around us one last time before we, end up, like, going into the afterlife, It's like something that's special, something that you always take into accountability, but you never really appreciate it,
Yeah,
Like-
and that's why gratitude is so important.
Of course.
And I'm grateful to be here right now, having this conversation with you guys.
How do you incorporate SEL into, like, your classrooms?
So one way, at least one experience that I could reflect on, was the year that we came back from COVID, right? And
Yeah.
and if you remember COVID, that was it was a very different kind of experience for everybody. I think I think a lot of us didn't know what to expect when we were going to be arriving back into school buildings full time. With my 9th grade class particularly, that year, I'm an English teacher, right? I've taught
course.
English and ESL. I would assign my students something called a free write every day. I had it was a double period class. Every day I had my students write for 15 minutes and just keep writing and not stop until the time ended.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would give some suggestions, but I would never, force the process or tell them that they have to write a specific way or about a specific topic. And what ended up happening that year was I actually ended up seeing like breakthroughs.
Yeah.
So students who maybe had struggled to express themselves, they ended up, because they were writing so frequently and able to put the thoughts from their head down on the paper, they started excelling in writing in other academic assignments, right? It started to have a more positive impact on their academics across the board. And that's, I think, a good example of how something like SEL can benefit someone's growth from within themselves. And, it actually does affect academics, because what I saw was I actually saw students were reflecting on their thinking process. When you have your own thoughts in writing, you're able to analyze your own thinking process and develop new insights, exercise metacognition.
Yeah, of course. Like, it's like, how do I say, like, giving you that realization or that push that, like, all this time you were, like, defrosting from the freeze you had during the pandemic, and then now you're really starting to pay attention to not just your surroundings, but also, like, the people around you, your friends, and being able to make new connections with people you didn't even know you would talk with,
Absolutely. When you're writing, and
Yeah.
you're developing that relationship between yourself, process things a lot differently. So, like I said, that's kind of just one way that I think any teacher can really incorporate SEL into the classroom, but also just looking at your students and understanding that they are human beings. These are
Of course.
people. I think you mentioned a good point before. We don't nearly know as much about what each of us really does go through, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to be mindful of that and, like, approach people with an open mind and seek to understand them, rather than
Deny them.
or
Yeah.
dismiss them, right? I think that's so important.
Yeah, because like at the end of the day, like, as someone who like likes to know people, like if they do something that I think is like pretty off, I'm not gonna like judge them immediately, but instead try to figure out like, oh, why did you do this? What's your background? What's the story on how or why you became that person? And how can me as a person or me being your friend affect you to be a better person as well? And it's really something that I take into like thought as well every time I meet like people as well.
Yeah, and I will say the more there's a correlation between the more you understand yourself and the more you understand other people, and vice versa.
Of course.
The more diverse perspectives and experiences that you get to grasp and understand about other people, that'll inform something about yourself, and it'll expand your capacity to deal with all different kinds of people, and that's the richness of life right there. I really do believe that.
I'm not sure if you would like to close this podcast or add a few words.
No, you know what? I want you to say whatever it is that you learned from, this is the third discussion that we had.
Yeah.
And I feel like they've gotten more and more insightful each time.
Well, I mean, honestly, like as you said before, like, being able to have SEL into like your own life as well really helps you understand the aspects of like the memories you make along the way as well, because these memories will last you until even after you're not on the planet anymore, and it's like the song I listen to, and in the beginning, like it says don't take this into like offense, people who are religious or people who are
Not
listening
at
to this,
all.
like this is just like something that I like think about is like God's envy us, because we're mortal and and everything is more beautiful that way, because if you live forever, then everything you see is not special. But if you don't live forever and have a certain time limit, you appreciate everything, knowing that you won't be able to see this ever again. No matter what your beliefs are in, like at the end of the day, like you're enjoying everything that you've done in your life and being able to have these memories, like even if they're good, bad, love, heartbreak, everything, like you're still gonna carry those and you're still gonna learn from them, even after like. Once your time has come, you'll recall all those memories. You know that you weren't perfect, but you were still the person you try to be. And, as much as like people don't like really ask anything or say anything, but, like whenever like my time is as well, like I know I'm still pretty young, but like I still like to think about it. And
I think what you said is beautiful, honestly, and I feel like anybody listening to it is going to be, it's going to resonate with them, and I really, really appreciate having like you speaking with me, and I think all three discussions, like I said, this is amazing. It's incredible to hear from
honestly,
you guys. So
I mean, like just to continue like what I was gonna say, like
Rati's like, yo, check the time.
Before we
I want you to say what you want to say, and then we'll kind of close it off.
Before we close this podcast, thank you for everyone for listening to this and being here. Is that like, something I would always ask myself is like not in a bad sense, but like in a good sense, like did I make you proud?
And you did.
Of course.
You not only made me proud, I hope you make yourself proud, because you have a lot to be proud of. I really appreciate this discussion. It feels amazing to hear to have this with you, like with the student, right?
And honestly, I'm just glad I'm able to talk here because, I like to have these types of conversations all the time, I
Me
just
too.
wish I had the time to, have it, and now I did,
Yep.
Well, this is the Dewey on Air podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed, and, grab some tissues. You're probably crying right now. All right, well, this is Dewey on Air. We'll see you guys in the next one, all right? The following audio is from New York University's commencement 2018 student speaker Christopher R. Hearn.
Please welcome Christopher R. Hearn, who receives a Bachelor of Music today from the Steinhardt School of Culture, Education, and Human Development, and will now address his fellow graduates.
Before I begin my formal speech, I want to acknowledge that we are on Lenape land, and I want to give honor to the people who first called this place home before there was a New York City and before there was a Yankee Stadium. I also want to pay honor to my ancestors who came from bondage to bring me the blessings that I'm now receiving today. Now, Chairman Berkeley, President Hamilton, faculty, staff, administrators, friends, family, my mom. Thank you so much, Mom, for everything you have done for me. And of course, to the NYU graduating class of 2018, we made it. We made it, yeah. My name is Christopher Hearn, and I am from the greatest city in the world, Columbus, Ohio. Yeah. I'm graduating today with a bachelor's in music business from the Steinhardt School. And I cannot explain how thankful I am to be addressing you all today. Over 17,000 graduates from over 18 schools here in New York City, and of course our campuses in Abu Dhabi and Shanghai. And I know that there's no way for me to condense all of our experiences at NYU into a single narrative, so instead, I will bring you my story and hope that it illuminates some kind of truth about this university and the transformative experiences that happen here. My mother brought me into this world when she was 16 years old. And now, on May 16th, 2018, I have the honor of helping to bring all of us into the next phase of our lives. Yeah. But I know for a fact I wouldn't have made it here if it wasn't for the ones who helped me. I drew energy from my teachers, my mentors, from my OGs at the barbershop, and of course my best friends. And they all contributed to my life in so many different ways. But the one thing that they all had in common was that they advised me to stay in motion. And I took their advice, and that landed me here as an incoming student in fall of 2014 as a Martin Luther King Jr. Scholar. As great as all of that is, it took me about 1 month to realize that I was not good enough for this school. On my very first midterm, I received a C-. It was Intro to Microeconomics. I remember it like it was yesterday. I could go into a whole story about it, but of course, I had an existential crisis, which just happened to occur while I was on my way home on the NYU shuttle, and I realized I had two options. The first would be to go back to Columbus and start over. The second would be to stay here in New York City and try to make it work somehow. And as you can see, I chose the latter. Thank you. Now, during my time as a student at NYU, I've been able to serve as vice president for the Gentlemen of Quality, which is a mentorship and community service group for men of color. I was on staff at the Academic Achievement Program, which aims to give social and academic support to students of color. I also served as director of diversity and student government. And while I had success in all of these roles, honestly, I would be lying if I said that I felt ready for all of them when I started. Sometimes I didn't even feel ready for them after I finished. But no matter what, I resolved to stay in motion until I did. One of the main things that I've learned here is that in order to realize your potential, you have to act without always being fully sure. So often we are presented with these magnificent challenges and opportunities that cause us to freeze up, stop our motion, either because we feel ill-equipped or unprepared for the challenges. But the truth is this: the skills you need to rise to a challenge are not brought in with you. Actually, they are only developed when you set yourself in motion towards completing the task. And I suspect that at a certain point on all of our journeys, we have been tempted to stop. Whether it be because of academic struggles or family concerns, or knowing that when you graduate, you're gonna lose access to your HBO Go account, and then how am I gonna watch season 3 of Insecure? But if you're here today, it's because you resolved to stay in motion, to keep going. Even the name of this event urges forward motion. This is a commencement ceremony. It's not a farewell. This is not a concluding celebration. This is a beginning. It's a start. It's a call to initiate motion. And I urge you all to treat it as such. And even if we don't notice, the most powerful forces in our world are communicating this exact same message. The blood moving through our veins does so continuously. If it stopped motion, we wouldn't be able to continue living. The ocean, it's never still, because the life above it and below it depend on its motion to sustain. Our planet never stops spinning on its axis because the days and the nights depend on its motion. So before I leave you today, I want you all to understand that this is not a focus on the journey and not the destination kind of speech. I am urging you to stay in motion because it is necessary for survival, and it is vital for any progress that we hope to see in the future. You can ask my people about that. So, to the NYU graduating class of 2018, I applaud you for making it this far. I encourage you to take time to reflect on what it took to get you here. But more than anything, I am urging you to stay in motion. Thank you, and congratulations.